we'll be treating 3 practice questions in this video. The first question is going to involve calculating the cost of a taxi ride, which depend on the distance that the ride is going to cover, and then the driver had to fix the cost depending on other variables. So then the second practice question deal with calculating the pressure of a gas as the volume varies, and then the force between two masses once the mass are known. So let's go into each of the question. Question 1. The cost of a taxi ride C is partly constant and partly varies directly with the distance traveled. If C is 500 naira for a 5-kilometer ride, so we have that, and then 10-kilometer ride will cost 800 naira. Find the equation connecting the cost and the distance. So we said let the cost be C, so it's partly constant and then partly vary directly with the distance, so you multiply because this is direct variation. So let's look at the parameters given. Now the cost of the ride is 500 naira if the distance that the taxi is going to cover is 5 kilometers. So for a 5-kilometer ride, so the driver will take a fixed charge no matter the distance, and then you pay an extra charge depending on how long the ride is going to be. So let's look at the second one, which is given 10-kilometer ride costs 800 naira. So we'll solve these two equations simultaneously. So subtract equation 1 from 2. That gives us the value of K as 60. So what we need to do in order to get A so that we can solve this relationship, you substitute this K into any of the two equations, either equation 1 or equation 2. But we are going to use equation 1, which has smaller value. So if you substitute that into equation 1, 500 equals to A plus 5K, which is 5 times 60. So rearranging, you will have A equals to 200. So with that, we go back to the relationship between the cost and the distance, C equal to A plus KD. So substitute the value of A and K, you have your relationship. So the cost of the taxi ride has a fixed charge of 200 naira, then plus 60 naira per every kilometer that you travel, additional cost. So let's go to question 2. Question 2, the pressure of gas is partly constant and partly vary inversely with the volume. If the pressure is 10 when the volume is 2, and then the pressure is 6 when the volume is 4, find the equation connecting P and V. So the equation connecting P and V is you're having a denominator because it's partial variation. It varies inversely as the volume, so that's why we have it's like K times 1 over V. Then don't forget this, that if P vary inversely as volume, so it's 1 over, so that's why we have that. So substituting the parameters that we have, so P is 10 when V is 2, so substitute into this equation, then get equation 2 by using the second part of the information given. Then we have equation 1 and 2. So let's solve these two equations simultaneously. So subtracting equation 2 from 1, we have 4 is equal to k over 4. So k over 2 minus k over 4, that is what? Take away a quarter from half. That will give you a quarter. So k is equal to 16. So substitute that into equation 1. P is equal to a plus 16 plus over v. So what is v in equation 1? V is 2. So that brings us to the value. So we can get a is equal to 10, take away to 8, so which is 2. All right. Therefore, the relationship between the pressure and the volume is 2 plus 16 over V. So let's go to the third equation. The third equation is the force between two objects is partly constant and partly vary directly with the product of their masses, m1 and m2. Find the equation connecting F, m1 and m2. So to do that, we have that relationship given. So let's substitute the value. So let's solve the two equations simultaneously. (12k equals to 6k). Oh, 12 equals to 6k. So make k sort of formula. So k is 2. Now use the value k equals to 2 in equation 1. Equation 1, 22 equals to a plus 6k. So that gives the value of a as 10. So what is the relationship between F and the product of the masses? F is equal to 10 Newton plus 2 multiply the product of the two masses. So the force between two objects has a constant 10 Newton. Then the force increases whenever you multiply the two masses together and you double it. Whatever you have, add it to the 10 Newton. That will give you the total force between two masses. Subscribe to Super Easy Physics and